How we doing, traders? Welcome back to Start Swing Trade and look at the market. Look at it go. Wouldn't you know it? Just when you think that it isn't going to make an up move, what does it do? There you have it, team. There's the reversal we've been looking for. And when did it come? Not all the way until after lunch, after 1 p.m. Why did this happen a lot of the times? Because it wants to stop out you retail traders out there. So don't get caught in the retail chop is what I'll mention today as definitely the lesson to learn on the day. And you guys can clearly see it, the SPY getting that up move, and it came later in the day. And that's how it goes sometimes. Just when you think that you're going to get the move, a lot of the times we get those pullbacks, it holds longer term support and finally starts to make the up move, especially when, like I always say it, guys, who knows the good lunch spots on Wall Street? Because it seems to me like always this happens. It's not the first time I see this happen where, lunchtime comes on, everyone's kind of a little bit weary, and all of a sudden there's a huge rally. Come on, man. You mean to tell me that nobody knew that this rally was coming? I definitely wouldn't think so. This is one of those where it has institutional game written all over it. When I see this action like we do right here on the Qs, where we get this big rip up to the upside, 350, and it's out of nowhere. It's not like it slowly went up, right? If it was a slow move, then I'd be like, okay, well, maybe that, you can take part in pullbacks and jump in on the party. But has it pulled back to the VWAP? No, it hasn't. And this is the type of move that can keep stocks moving. Let's take a look at Apple. Apple does have their event today, and we'll see if this can continue to lift off. Of course, their event's going to be tonight, so don't miss that, guys, on Apple. Definitely something to watch. It's already oversold, could get the bounce, and does have earnings on Thursday. Let's take a look into the sectors and the industries, of course. Today, communication services leading the way to the upside. You guys can take a look at some of the leading stocks, of course, like Verizon was one that I talked about, how it had this daily resistance. We got through that daily resistance and now actually above that. So not a bad day there. AT&T not having a bad day. Comcast coming back after getting hit recently, and Charter Communication getting a little bit of a push up. Defensive names got a lift there, and the Brewers got a nice little push. Households, personal, definitely got a nice little push. Some of these companies that were starting to bounce, like household, personal products, Colgate, Palmolive, definitely getting a nice little bounce. And I think this is a lot to do with what? Well, we're going to need to focus to see if there's rotation truly to defensive names. As you guys can see here, we definitely did get a little bit of a lift, but will we continue with defensives? So this is a bounce after weak sideways period. So I think that we need to kind of keep an eye out. If technology keeps falling, these are the names that I think could get the lift. And it's something just to keep an eye out for. Nothing that I think we need to jump after just today, but is it something that I'm watching? Hell yeah, because it's going to be important, right? Like this PepsiCo. Will it start making its way back, or will it be the tech names that continue to lead us back? Of course, that's something to keep an eye out for. The Q's getting back there almost to the 350 spot. That's kind of the level that I was looking we could get to. Eventually, I think we get towards this like kind of 354 level. Let's talk a little bit about some other stocks. Tesla down though 5%, and big move down there in Tesla. And I've talked about it, and I'm going to continue talking about it. I am still very bearish Tesla. I think that they're going to have a ugly 24. And for those that continue to believe in the long-term story that is Tesla, well, I'll at least tell you guys, I have flipped boat on that, and I am very bearish Tesla long-term. I think this company is going to struggle. I think it's had its best days ever already. I don't think it ever gets back there towards 400. I think this company is going to struggle for a long time. All right, let's keep going, guys. Let's move forward to some other areas in the market. We can talk a little bit about them. Financials getting a little bit of a bounce back after recently just getting, pummeled. I mean, look at JPM. That would be a good explanation. Last week, straight down. Now finally getting a little bit of a bounce. Does that mean that the banks are safe? by no means necessary. I think this is just kind of a little bit of a bounce back. The TLT not going anywhere is something also to keep in mind. It did make a downside attempt here out the gates there towards that 83.24. I'm keeping a watch on it to see if we get back above 85s. If we can get above 85s and close towards, let's say, 85.50s, anything up here, yes, the market could rally back. But if we see another leg lower in the bonds, I would see another leg lower in the stock market. So keep your eyes on that. We'll see what happens there. And like always, I'll catch up with the chat. Let me know what you guys are taking a look at. It's good to see you guys out there. Let's keep going. Underestimate Elon at your peril. Hey, by all means, I got no problem calling out Elon, calling out Tesla. I call it how I see it. The name's Money Mitch. Let's get after it. All right, let's see what else is going on in the market today. We can get to different stocks in the market. Industrials pushing back a little bit after recently taking a big hit. Honeywell, UPS even getting a little bit of a lift up. GE getting a little bit of a push. But what did I see start coming down? RTX. Lockheed Martin, not the worst day for it. It's still up on the day. NLC, though, right back down, and definitely had an opportunity to short when I was looking at this double, triple top here in the 493s. And that just goes to show me that if the defensive names start to give up, be careful. I don't trust this XLI bounce one bit. I think it could bounce and then eventually just get the knockdown. So just be careful out there, team. Industrials, definitely not where I like things. Caterpillar's been struggling. Deere's been struggling. I think a bunch of these names eventually keep heading on their way lower. Like Picard, I think this is actually setting up for maybe a potential swing short, but I'm going to keep on the sidelines here and see what happens there on Picard. All right, let's keep going. That's the industrial sector. We can take a look at some of the technology names. Of course, Microsoft up 1.26%. This is a good one to start getting the motion. Now, can it actually start making its way back to the earnings high? I think we could have a nice little liftoff, especially since pretty much the FOMC meeting this Wednesday is pretty much a given, right? I mean, does anyone expect anything else than just keeping the same policy? No, the only thing that I could see maybe the Fed kind of pushing back the talk of that we're completely paused now and that we can raise rates in the next meeting would be definitely the surprising thing to hear. But I think what we're going to hear more and more that we're happy with interest rates where they are. They're in a restrictive rate, and we're going to continue to watch that this restrictive policy can get inflation back down to 2%. And they will keep it at this rate until it gets to that 2%, as inflation is still the main focus. Until the economy completely collapses, that's what they're going to keep saying. At least that's what I feel. And of course, like always, what does the Fed do? It plays extremes. It goes all the way to the extreme restrictive side and then starts working their way back as what? They need bullets and ammo so that they can work their way backwards. All right, let's keep going. When is the next Fed meeting? That's going to be on Wednesday. So, of course, you'll get the 2 p.m. release and the 2:30 conference. Of course, you guys can catch that right here on Benzinga and catch a bunch of earnings calls, Kevin. This week, we got a ton of earnings calls that we will be putting up, of course, right here on Benzinga. So don't go anywhere, team. Keep up with all the calendar dates. And how can you keep up with all this? Of course, Benzinga Pro, guys. Don't miss it. A lot of earnings even just coming tonight. Pinterest, Well Towers, Chag, Public Storage. I've seen recently get a little bit of lift, and tomorrow, Caterpillar, BP, Pfizer. Keep up with all the earnings. Get Benzinga Pro today, guys. All right, let's keep going. We'll see what else is going on the moves. We can take a look at SoFi. Of course, they did report earnings today, and the earnings weren't bad. But this is what I mean by I don't really want to be jumping into this industry. I talked about this on, of course, PreMarket Prep. If you guys aren't watching PreMarket Prep, you're probably missing out on that action. But yes, SoFi, I didn't like it. It's just not in the right space right now. People don't like the banks. They think they're uninvestable. And why would I be investing in banks right now? I don't think this is a good sign to see here. It's back down to 693s and had its chance to go up today. It even was up in the pre-market to 788. What an opportunity to get short, seems like it, because it came right back down. Not a stock that they're turning around. I know why people were looking at this SoFi story. I was looking at it too when it was up here at the 750s. I remember on the day like this when it went from 8 to 750s, I actually got caught big on this. So don't think that I'm just playing the hero either. I got caught on this move too. But that just goes to show me that the truth is that even though we can think about student loans coming back into SoFi, the truth at the point in time is that SoFi is still going to struggle even if student loans come back online. I can see this thing giving up the 61.8 and being right back down to $6 and $5. It just doesn't look good here for SoFi. All right, we can take a look at another stock that did have reported earnings and look at the disaster in Semiconductor as they lowered their guidance and it's down now to 65.87. And this just goes to show me that I got to be extra careful in technology names that I think cannot go down. Why? Because this is what can happen on a company that you feel cannot go down. This company was just recently looking really hot. Just like SMCI was looking really hot at the top, right? And then it gapped down. I think SMCI could go another leg lower, going back into this gap zone between 200 and 170. So just be careful out there, team. Don't get caught in these names. I think we're going to see another leak on these kind of companies because they're not coming back. They did work its way back. And what is it showing now? Weakness again. I think we could see SMCI take another hit down. And of course, I've talked about it consistently that I will be looking to see NVIDIA back in this gap and then actually heading towards the next gap zone, which is towards the 370s. Do I think NVIDIA gets back to 450 before the report? Hell no, team. At least from my outlook, I don't think that's going to happen. Of course, you guys choose your own outlook, but I think NVIDIA eventually shows up in that bottom box. All right, let's keep going. We'll see some other names. Of course, you guys can keep dropping some names. We'll take a look at some of those stocks. Johan, when will Elon be forced to sell more Tesla stock? That could be truly interesting to look up. I haven't taken a look into that, but I will add it to my script. I'm actually working on a new video. Wouldn't you guys want to know exactly what that's about? Of course, Tesla is involved in there. I'm sure you can call the area out. All right, let's keep going. We'll see what other ones come. Of course, AMD getting a little bit of a bounce back, and this is just as easy as it can bounce back. And it's a tough trade, right? AMD has a tendency of going straight, like kind of trending straight down, straight back up, straight down, straight back up. And of course, they report tomorrow after the bell, so maybe we get a little bit of a sell-off here. I'll be watching to see what happens with this report. And this will give us some insight onto what's happening in this industry, right? If AMD kind of just starts to show demand issues and kind of earnings coming forward don't look as great as they were, well, I'll tell you right now, that's when you're going to start really seeing the technology names start to let go. Intel, that had earnings last week, right, was all the way down to 33, back to 36 and trying to push. This is one that you got to keep your eyes out. If for any reason AMD can kill it and we really start to get a technology rally, this is one that I think will partake in that rally. So it's something to keep your eyes open for. I'm going to set an alert at 36.76, which is the move back to 37, which of course would be a nice little daily breakout level. We'll see what happens there in Intel. Qualcomm also was on my radar earlier today as it was pulling back, and it actually went below the kind of the low here on the 5-minute and then swept right back to the upside. We'll see what happens there on Qualcomm. All right, guys, it's 3:48. We only got about 12 minutes left. Keep the names flowing. I'm going to keep taking a look at stocks that are moving. And let's go to energy. Energy, the down hit area in the market today. Chevron starting to bounce back. Let's take a look at WTI to see where it's at. Of course, that's my main focus and what I like to focus on. If I'm looking for crude, I'm looking at WTI and watching the settlement price. Of course, the settlement price on the 27th was 85.54. Now we're at what? 82s, guys, and looking like we could go into the 80s handle. So unless this changes drastically in the next couple of days, oil is looking like it's on the breakdown. And that's where I'd be looking at Chevron, that it could go right back to the downside, right? XLE could continue breaking down, right? And so we'll see what happens with these names. Of course, they've gotten a little bit of a bounce, but they still look great for shorts. Even like this Valero, this looks great off of the kind of the 125 range for a move back down to 122. I'll tell you one thing, I'm keeping my eyes on these, and they're definitely in the radar now. Basic materials, I talked about coal being the area that I want to start looking for shorts, especially if oil starts to break down. CEIX, area like that, stocks like that, I'm keeping an eye on these. As they start to break down, they could be removed right back down. And so this one had a nice little topping pattern here. Now starting to move, it could go to 100 easily. And you can see this little bounce back here. This looks interesting for me to even get short and a move right back down through the lows. CEIX, I don't know, man. I don't like coal, and coal usually comes for Santa time, right? I mean, you guys know Santa's getting this coal for all those bad kids out there. I don't know if you guys are part of the bad kids, but let me know. We'll see what happens here. Micron has been trying to bounce back. ARM is the one that continues to take a hit. This has been a ugly, ugly IPO. I remember I've made some money, lost some money on ARM. I'll tell you one thing, unless it gets past 50, I'm not touching it. And it looks like it wants another low. We'll see what happens there. Man, on Semiconductor is down 10%. Not what you want to see in this space. And if you look at some names that are similar, they don't look good. Look at the NXP, NXPI. That doesn't look good at all. That looks like it's falling off the tape, just like it is with the on Semiconductor. All right, let's keep going. Let's go into some different ones. Square, watch out for Square. Will fly at earnings. Oh man, I can't blame you for trying to catch this knife, Boba. But the truth is that this is a falling knife on Square, and I'd be really careful. When I first started looking at Square is back in 2018, and that's when it was breaking like 35s. It's down to 39, guys. That's 2018. Is this company going to work its way back to 200, 250, 300? I don't think so by any means. And so that's where we got to be careful. It's okay that it could get a little bit of a lift off of the earnings, and maybe it does. Maybe it gets back there to 47. But is that enough for me to come after this chart? I don't know. Personally, for me, I think this is a stay away, same way it is in PayPal. And I'm glad I warned in this area in 2021, right there in October at the top. And I still remember it was Visa that gave out the warning there and came down, but Visa eventually came back. And I've actually been looking for maybe potentially Visa short through the 230s, but we won't talk a little bit about that. We'll see what happens out there. MPWR, of course, that's a ticker. That's a technology ticker. Sorry about that. Got a little bit confused with the ticker and trying to talk about it. We'll see if this can kind of get the next lift. This looks like a lot of topping action, and the drop off is too fast. And you can see last time this stock dropped off fast, what did it do? It kept dropping fast. It didn't bounce fast. And this is the type of stock that I see do this often. This looks kind of like the deer chart, where it goes up to the top and comes all the way back down, up to the top, all the way back down. So yes, does this make an area where maybe you can risk off the 400? Yes, but at the same time, I think it could go through that 400 and come back to this support around the 350. And if that happens, well, that's another leg lower. Doesn't look that great. No, bro, I'm buying at 34. I do think that it will go to 34. We'll see. I think the big thing with Square is just there's a lot of competition. And if you're buying at 34, hey, well, I can't blame you there either, right? Maybe look for a capitulation low, like a really hard hit on earnings, and you're buying that dip. Hey, power to you, Boba. And the truth is, no one knows until you actually play it. Let me know how it goes, my friend. All right, let's keep going. We can take a look at some other areas in the market. Mickey D's had earnings today. That's actually looking like it's pushing back. It doesn't look too bad. It is getting a little bit of a push. Nothing that I would really be watching here, but it doesn't look that hot there. Starbucks reports later in the week. This is one that I think could get a little bit of a bounce, but we'll keep an eye on it. And Chipotle, man, on Chipotle, I actually went to Chipotle last week, so maybe that's a bullish statement on Chipotle. They did do earnings. They had a little bit of a spike, had pulled back, and now starting to climb again. DPZ, Domino's Pizza going down, man. We'll see if that turns around. Healthcare names were definitely an area that I was kind of keeping an eye on today to see what happens there. Lilly pulling back. UNH getting a little bit of a pop there. So I'm looking around to see what is actually going to stay in the trend. Merck looks like it's going to come right back down. It just had a nice little pop on the earnings and starting to let go. That just goes to show me that in health isn't looking good, guys. XLV also got a little bit of a bounce, but will this hold? I don't think it will. It's something that I'll be looking at, but healthcare has just been completely hit down lately. Unity. This looks like it wants to go through lows, man. I wouldn't touch this falling knife. This is like literally like trying to catch a piece of iron that's just glowing red, right? What will you do? You can grab it, but as soon as you grab it, you're going to feel that sear and you're going to start letting go. This looks like a falling knife. And the truth is, I don't like catching falling knives. Yes, this could turn around, but the truth is things don't look good for Kathy either. And unless Kathy looks good, then I start thinking about those types of growth names. This looks really bad here. And just to kind of state it, on Palantir, I might have to hit Dennis tomorrow up on this one. I know that be buy the dip on Palantir, but I don't know about that one. I should have bet some lunch on this one because I think this one comes right back down to eventually $10. All right, Microsoft is up 2.4%. It wasn't a bad one. We'll continue to watch that one to work. I was looking at that all day long, was looking to see if that could hold these pullbacks. So around the 334.11, you can see how that held, and now it looks to keep going. Adobe's another one that I'd keep an eye out for. It's trying to make a move back to resistance. We'll see if it can make that move back up towards 550s and 570s. And just to mention one more, what was the other stock that I wanted to keep an eye out for? Not NVIDIA. It'll come back to me in just a second, team. We'll keep going. We'll see what happens. But Apple, of course, is going to be important to watch. Google has been trying to bounce back on the day, has bounced back off of that 200 moving average. Now the question is, will it kind of come back towards this 128 or will it go towards the 120s? That's something that I'll keep an eye out for. Dash having a decent day. That's interesting. Snap going higher. That could be the move into pin interest. Let's see how that's moving up here. It is getting a little bit of a bounce. If it let goes, though, in this earnings call and is back down into this kind of 23 or 22 spot, watch out because I could see this coming back to 20s. All right, there was a short report on which stock, Mad Money. Which stock are you naming there? What short report and what stock? Microsoft, of course, we'll continue to watch to see if that holds up. It doesn't look bad at all overall. NVIDIA, Netflix was strong earlier today. Let's take a look at how Netflix was doing. Look at that, right back up. It was down to 400 near the support. And look how that made that nice little move higher. Not a bad move there for Netflix as it starts to push higher. And when Netflix does well, what do I look at? You guys know it, Disney. Look at that nice little lift today. And Disney, yes, it does look like it eventually breaks through the lows, but has bounced what now? 1, 2, 3, 4 times off this 80 spot. Is this finally the spot where Walt Disney holds? I don't know, guys, but keep an eye on it. And there was a short report on Palantir. Oh, then they helped me out, man. They probably saw what I was seeing. I'll have to take a look on that Palantir short report to come after it here, but yeah, I'll see what happened on that short report, see who put it out. I didn't get a chance to actually read it, so I'll take a look into that and bring you back some more information tomorrow, team. American Airlines and the airlines like that, they're trying to bounce, man, but they just can't get the bounce. Airbnb, I've been kind of paying attention to that. I know they have their report tomorrow. Just doesn't look good. You look at Booking, it got a little bit of a bounce today, but I don't know if these will be able to hold on. RCL also getting a little bit of a bounce. CCL getting a little bit of a bounce. Keeping my eye on these, but they could easily get hit again. Mattel. I've been keeping an eye on this stock because I have a feeling eventually it could come right back down through that 19. We'll see what happens on this one. Keeping an eye on it. Let me go ahead and set an alert there for the downside hit through 1831s. This is something that I'm keeping an eye out for. Planet Fitness getting a little bit of a lift. Oh, now this seems like a nice little setup eventually to get short. I mean, you guys see it. This is trying to come back and fill this gap. We'll see if it fills that gap. But if it rejects this triple high off this 56, comes back through 54, This could easily be back down to 45. We'll see what happens there on Planet Fitness. Also been keeping an eye on like SeaWorld to see what happens with names like that. See if we see continued downside action in these leisure names. All right, let's keep going. We'll see what else is being mentioned in the chat there. I see you guys still talking a little Palantir action. Utilities staying kind of red there. That's something that I'll keep an eye out for. Real estate getting a little bit of a bounce. PSA, public storage, right? We'll see what happens on that after that report. Will it get the bounce or not? Man, industrials and REITs, they have not done well. Utilities getting a little bounce back, but that's not something that I'll keep an eye out for. Consumer cyclical are names that I really do think could keep coming down. So watch out there. Home Depot's been really kind of destroyed as of late. So maybe that starts to get a little bit of a bounce. I was looking at like Walmart and some discount stores earlier today. That did get a little bit of a pop. Costco, a little bit of a pop. Target, a little bit of a pop. DG continuing. Dollar Tree. BJ and Ollie's bargain outlook has been pretty good. This hasn't come down whatsoever since their push in July and could keep running to the upside. All right, guys, let's keep going. It's 4 o'clock. We're going to wrap it up here. Let's go to the SPY and the Qs to get the final outlook, as the SPY did bounce today. And now we'll look to see if it takes the next leg down, right? It did go back there towards hourly resistance. Look to see if those hourly resistance starts to become support. As you can see, the disconnect here and how this is kind of trying to push back through 417. If we can get back through 417s, then yeah, I think this could go higher. But I have a feeling it's going to fight in this space to try to get above the 417s and could be right back to 415s, 410s tomorrow. Be careful out there, traders. It's not going to just be easy and trading one way. We'll see what happens. Like always, keep your eyes open and let me know what stocks on your radar so I can make sure we take a look. All right, that's going to do it for us. Now up next, you guys got, of course, the Dale's report where they get into cannabis, psychedelics, and the crypto space. Crypto has been hot as of late. HHS recommendations brought these cannabis stocks right back down. So when will they get the new lift? What states are going to be voting for legalization? Find out on all of that up next on the Dale's report. We'll see you guys over there. Don't go anywhere, team. Always a lot more for you guys right here on Benzinga. And smash the like. I'll see you guys bright and early. And don't miss all the earnings in the earnings calendar. You can find it, of course, on our Twitter. And like always, we'll keep pushing to that next level. See you next time right here on Start Swing Trade.